Pretty windy out there.
Is it?
Yeah. Where do you park?
Garage up here.
Gotcha.
What's up, everyone? I'm Zack. That's Chris. We're doing the double live thing because that's the cool thing to do.
What's up, guys? Chris L here. I'm with Zack Miller. We were talking business, talking branding, and we're here in Norfolk, Virginia, where he has a startup incubator. What would you call it?
So I call it a gym for entrepreneurs.
I like that.
Yeah. I don't go to the gym personally, but I figure, it's okay if I say it the other way. We are upside down.
We are? All right, let's switch this up. Will that work?
Let's see. Build that somehow. Can people hear that?
Yeah, let's start this over. We'll start over.
We have 54 viewers. Hold on. There's got to be something we can do like which way.
There. We have to go right in there.
We don't do that. I think that'll work. See, the things that you have to do in business to get things to work, sometimes you have to use Legos.
All right. All right, let's do this. Live video.
Be careful, brother. Oh, I post in here.
Do what?
Oh, I post in here. When your lips don't work like they used to before.
Yes.
It's too high. Try the other way. Let's look this up.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever we gotta do, people. Whatever we gotta do to make it happen.
No matter where.
Better. A lot of headspace.
Right there. That might work.
Where's your microphone though?
Down here. It'll still pick up that.
All right.
Great hearing aids back. All right. One line. All right, guys. I'm back here with Zack Miller. This is Chris Hill, and we were talking business and branding. We are at his startup gym here in Norfolk, Virginia. You want to talk a little bit about what you do and what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. So I guess the second time I've done this.
Yeah, man. This is a little bit more legit. We're here at your office. You can't see, there's a really cool setup here in the back where they do a lot of like seminar type things.
Yeah, so we're in the business of content distribution to businesses. So think Netflix for business content. So instead of watching the new Fuller House or some documentary, you would get business content that we curate and create for businesses. And I created Hatch because I was looking for a resource myself and couldn't find it. And what was great is that, you can either kind of bitch and moan about it or you can create your own solution. And so I created my own solution and then realized that other people wanted it too and started finding ways for them to get it as well. And so just like you pay Netflix a monthly fee or your gym or your Cox cable bill or your internet bill, pay us a fee to get access to the stuff that we have, and that's what we do.
Nice.
What about you?
I do a little bit of everything, man. But yeah, he's an awesome guy. We've been connected for a while. We did text talks together, and a very cool guy, very smart guy, and he has his pulse on a lot of different kind of. What I think is really cool is that you have a bunch of different partners. Would you call them that you work with?
Yeah, so we work with a ton of different businesses and probably thousands a year now, and we have some partners that we think are kind of key movers and shakers in the world. But what's really important to us is that the one thing that no one gets back is time. And so while there are a ton of resources out there, who is really creating them?
Right.
And have they done it? And so, we look at things like your Scores of the world or your Chambers of the world. And while those are great for certain things, for starting a business, is that the best resource?
Right.
And I think a lot of times those type of places aren't great because the context isn't right.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, like with Score, you have people that
and people that aren't familiar with Score.
Yeah, so Score is like I don't know what the exact acronym breakdown is, but typically it's a bunch of older people who are giving business advice on how people can do it. The problem typically is the people who go to Score are startups, and the person who is giving them any advice usually hasn't started a business. And the first thing they want to say is do a business plan. And so I fundamentally disagree with business plans for a lot of reasons, but number one is because it's just not practical when starting a business if you don't even know, does someone want this? Does someone willing to pay for it? There's a lot of validation that needs to go on beforehand.
It works for about day one though, business being open, then
maybe, right? So you get these people put together 100-page business plans, and then you find out the first line that they wrote was false or it didn't come true. So then everything else after it didn't come. I think we should be focused on having, small little things like find first customer. Okay, figure out what they liked about it. Okay, can we find that person a second time and a third time? It's just trying to figure out those things over and over and over again.
So if I have a business plan and I'm trying to get my business started, a lot of people may be watching this, here on my camera. They might be
Put it up. Right on. It's nice.
Right.
Yep.
Some of the people watching over here might have a business plan, might be trying to start a restaurant or a food truck or a catering company, and they need maybe worst, smallest case scenario, $10,000 or maybe $50,000 or $100,000. And maybe not. The banks are hard to work with now these days.
The bank's not going to give you money,
right? But maybe a friend or it to an extent shows the people that you're trying to work with that you're serious about this. Maybe instead of the business plan, or maybe something different. How would you maybe
so
that?
What's interesting if you so there's a school locally, a culinary school, and with you, we started getting in touch with more chefs and people that want to start. And people want to start restaurants and stuff like that. So we started, working with some of those people who want to get that business. And what's interesting is what we'll tell them, and what I'll tell you guys is the same thing. Is if you haven't opened a business before, but you love the art of cooking, make sure that you really want to start that business, because it often is true that you don't want to start that business. You love the craft of
being in the game, being in the moment,
but you're not in love with the game of business. So what I recommend is, and I'll ask all of you guys,
leave any questions in the comments too.
Yeah, please do. And thank you guys for watching. So take $30 out of your bank account and go to the store. And if $30 is the right number, then $100, whatever the number is, right? So go to the store, spend $30, create a meal, and then try and sell it. Do you love doing that? My guess is that a lot of people don't, and that's okay. What they need to do instead is recognize that they want to just find an entrepreneurial-like restaurant and be at that place, because
where they have a little bit of leeway, where they have a bit of creativity, opportunity.
Because what you're going to find out is that you love to cook, you hate the business side. The business will not succeed because you it's just not what you love.
Right.
And so I think a lot of restaurants fail for that reason, because they're really good at cooking, they're really good at creating a masterpiece, but they're not good at getting people in there over and over and over and over again. And it doesn't mean that your food isn't great. Usually your food is great, and that's not the problem. The problem is how many products out there. Go into Best Buy. How many products are there? Tens of thousands, right? There has to be some sort of marketing and sales towards the sale of that purchase. The same goes for your restaurant. And so, we're sitting here right now, it's, 10:16, right? And a lot of restaurants are about to open in the next 44 minutes at Eastern Standard Time. Did those people promote it to get people in that door?
Right.
And so it's a constant cycle.
Or do they do something over the weekend to get those people to come in?
Exactly.
I feel like there's a big problem with, they talk about the Clarence City, Virginia, that
the Stratford University.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
So and I feel like the industry is done disservice in a sense, because they, you have everything all over TV and it makes it sound like it's all really easy. And if you're on TV and doing that, you still have a business you have to run. You have, even if you're not the proprietor, you still have a kitchen with food numbers and inventory and things like that, labor costs. And so maybe you've run that for yourself. You feel like you're kind of at that point where you want to make the next step. What do you feel like are some of the biggest barriers or obstacles, or maybe just ways people go wrong as that kind of happens?
So I think a lot of it has to go through negotiations and asking. A lot of people will just take sticker price at everything.
Yeah.
And I think people, the two biggest things when starting something, when you're going to do it, negotiate everything and ask for net terms, right? So cash is always going to be an issue, whether or not you are a $10,000 company or $1 million company. There's always issues with cash. And so by trying to, quote unquote, manipulate the system so that you can always have as much cash on hand as possible, better. So net terms are basically saying, when you go to the store, you buy carrots and you pay them in cash. Imagine going to the store, receiving the carrots, but then receiving an invoice that says you have 30 days to pay for this thing. So always negotiate, or always ask for net terms. Most of the time, I don't know. I can't think of anyone that's actually said no to me when I've asked.
Yeah.
And so we do a lot of events, and so we ask for net terms on that. But we're constantly asking for net terms and everything that we do.
Pay us by the end of the month if you want to come.
Exactly. So we get a lot of printing done, and so we ask for net terms on that. Everything basically. We just say, "Can I have net terms?" And so we typically ask for 30. And if we can get somewhere close to that, we're happy. Sometimes people even give us 60. Basically, it means that you have that money in hand to do your own thing for 30 to 60 more days.
Which means to raise more revenue.
You can spend that money and do other things with it.
Right.
Right.
I think one of the biggest challenges with starting up a restaurant or food truck, catering company, whatever it is you're a lot of times trying to bootstrap it, unless you're one of the big guys, like you're kind of bootstrapping it. So any of those delayed payments are huge.
Yeah. What was the other question? Sorry.
It was just kind of some of the pitfalls that people fall into or obstacle challenges.
Yeah. So net terms, and then
what are the biggest, when you see companies that don't work with you guys, what are the biggest reasons why? Are there certain kind of common themes?
Yeah, know-it-alls, not willing to learn, not really understanding where they are,
or what they're offering.
Well, that, but I mean, like physically where the business is. I think a lot of people are, from a pride perspective, like as you were talking about with Shark Tank, I got this big $1 million company, hoorah, and it's like, well, if you have $1 million company and you only profited, $1 off of that,
great. Yeah.
Is it really $1 million company? No. And so I think people not really understanding where they are, not willing to kind of help themselves out of it. So even like if you were going to open a restaurant, negotiate better terms for the deal. Oh, I want 50% off for the first year. You're not going to get something if you don't ask.
Right.
And so most places that I know of, unless you're in like a super like high dense area like New York where they can
charge out the ass.
Yeah. you can pretty much negotiate yourself into something.
Right.
Some build out, some.
And a lot of times it'll be like a delayed, 30, 60, 90 days delayed until we open up. Or sometimes even like your rent is based on your sales. If you feel like
another thing that I think is really interesting, and a lot of people don't do this, is so you have two sides to your business. You have your business and then you have your personal life, right? And so one thing that I think from a financial standpoint that could help people a lot is also manipulating the way that where funds come in and out. So typically a house, or you rent a house and have a condo, something like that, you get those on the 1st and the 15th of this month, right? Because that's the way you've done that. Or you're gonna have them on the 1st and the 1st of this month. So the first thing I would do is say, okay, my home rent, that's gonna be probably difficult to do. Let me keep that on the 1st. Make sure my car payment is in the middle of the month on the 15th. And so those are typically your two largest kind of payments.
Right.
Now, here's where I think you get interesting. Instead of having your rent for your business due on the same days of those, try and get them on the 7th and the 21st, so that you're kind of in a 7-day cycle, constantly changing. That way, you can also manipulate money that way. And so the key is really just making sure that all your money is spread evenly throughout. And so like with us, as we're growing, I was looking and I'm constantly asking kind of our accountants saying, how much do I owe on the 1st? So our payment structure is we do 24 payment cycles on the 1st and 15th. And so about a month or two ago, one of them was, the 1st was heavier than the 15th. And so I said, all right, we need to split that up. So then I go to the people that we're doing, and sometimes people are getting just one check a month instead of two, like contractors. And I would say, we need to break that up. I'm going to pay you, half on the 1st and half on the 15th, so that it's a more equal thing for me.
Right.
And it's better to do that when you don't need to than when you do need to, because when times are tough, that person wants that money then. And so by breaking it up, you're able to, again, kind of manipulate net terms into your own stuff. And so that's great. So we got a couple of questions.
Well, along the same lines as that is, at the restaurant, sometimes things would happen where, I'm not sure if it's kind of across the board, but here in Virginia, every 20th of the month, our taxes were due. And, sometimes those taxes would fall on a payroll day, whereas like all kind of falls at the same time. So
taxes for me, so I had that issue.
I've heard one solution where you can have almost like an escrow account or something, a different account where you can just over the course of the month funnel your taxes that come in.
I pay our taxes every pay period.
Gotcha.
And the reason for it is so that months down the line, 3 months times however much all those taxes are, that number is significantly larger.
Right.
And you can put it into a savings account, do all those things. But what I have found is the best thing to do is to just, when your taxes are due, and this is difficult, right? It's a lot more money to do it every pay period, but it's the kind of sense of mind that I don't have to worry about it. And so it's just like, okay, it's coming out. And so it's something that it's thousands of dollars, and it's not a fun thing to do, but it's better to do it that way or monthly than quarterly. I mean, think about it. If you're doing, what is that, 6 payments, 7 payments times your entire payroll at the end, and that number is $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, that's a ton of money. Right. And
so, but if you don't have that laying around,
my guess is most people don't have that kind of money laying around. And so they get themselves into an issue, but they have that money that time. And so just spend it so that you're not getting screwed into that.
You get a couple questions.
How do I'm wondering why I can't see these.
I saw one about kickstarting.
You just scroll through.
Yeah. What's up, guys?
Ashika,
David, I'm a self-taught cook. Pans and flame out.
How come I can't see all this?
That's a good question. Maybe I need to refresh it.
Okay.
Let's see here. I saw one question on Kickstarter or maybe crowdfunding, which I have thought about, even for my most book that's coming out soon.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing I've seen with crowdfunding is you still need a platform. You still need
how come I can't?
You still need your your perspective out there in the world where people see what you're doing, where you have people, because at the end of the day, the biggest reason why Kickstarters don't pan out is because you only have 30 days to essentially execute this however much you need, and people.
Well, I think people, just like raising money, the problem with crowdfunding is that they think that it's a get-rich-quick scheme.
Right.
And while there are absolutely times where things go well for people, there are these other times where nothing goes right at all. Mm-hmm. And so you, let's see what that advice one is to. We set ourselves into this situation where we think that it's going to work. Oh, there's the microphone. That was stupid of me. We think that it's going to work, and then it doesn't, because we don't realize that we have to put just as much time into that as we would anything else.
Right, and it's kind of like, I'm a big fan. I think of Seth Godin, where his most recent book he crowdfunded, not because he had to crowdfund it, but it was, he met his crowdfunding campaign in 4 hours.
Wow!
And the whole idea is he didn't meet the campaign in 4 hours. He met it over the last 15 years of providing value to people. And that's where a lot of people don't kind of lay the groundwork of what they need to do up front to make it work down the road.
Well, and I think people just don't understand how hard it is. So we have a company that raised $65,000, I think.
Oh, wow.
But they had to spend $15,000 from the marketing company to do it. There was a lot of issues.
It's also making sure that you set up your refunds in a way, I guess, for restaurants a little bit different.
And 20% of people actually don't fulfill the order once they say they do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So like they
keep going. Snapchat. Just get the belt in there a little better.
So you're saying that people don't actually send the rewards out?
No, what I'm saying is that the people who say that they're going to buy, they can still say no.
Oh, I gotcha.
And so of this 65,000, of this 65,000,
wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they didn't either. And I think something like 10 of them, and they were high ticket items, 10 people didn't say yes. You guys can follow me on Snapchat too, Zack Miller 84, ZACK Miller 84. Basically everything I'm on is that. My stuff on Snapchat's pretty funny.
I think we're tagged here in the conversation.
I like to make. I am a millennial, so I can make fun of millennials, and so I think it's funny to have a parody millennial account.
So where are some hidden? Here's a good question. I mean, it is more restaurant focused, but it's kind of across the board.
Understand hidden
costs. Yeah,
absolutely.
Good question, Mark. Those are the things that kind of add up that really you need to be doing up front when you're trying to figure out, again, the business.
Well, if it's not plowing, it's rainstorms, or what happens when it's a bad day, or what happens when, just out front of us, we're in downtown Norfolk. There has been literally nonstop construction for 2 years on this block.
A huge ass hotel,
and so
over here.
While when it's done, it'll be good for those businesses, those restaurants. But I can tell you, there are days where it's a fucking struggle for these people because their road is closed.
You remember when down the street for us, the library is under construction?
Yeah, for you.
Yeah,
literally the roads are closed, and so we live in basically. So downtown Norfolk is kind of your traditional downtown feel, but basically this region, southeastern Virginia, is one big ass suburb, and so people in suburbia land want to go to Walmart, get in the parking lot, see where they're going, and drive out. And so people here don't understand this kind of concept, and they freak out. And it's just, I think it's a difficult thing, and people just don't understand it. So there's an educational piece to that as well. And it's just really, it can be quite difficult. So there's the cost of just not understanding.
And that's one important thing too, is when you're looking somewhere for a space, is to figure out what the 5-year plan is down the road for this part of town. 10-year plan.
Every economic development city should have numbers of traffic walking by, and so they can do it via street. So that's actually a real don't do any of the work if you don't have to either, right? So economic developments in cities are typically people who are trying to get that business to start or grow in their city, and they have information that you typically want. But you just don't know kind of where to go and get it and everything. And so I would always try and find someone in that city that is basically your concierge service to doing all the bullshit work that you don't want to have to find. Because first of all, you'll probably never find it because you don't know where to go.
Right.
But two is they know exactly where to go. They can give it to you basically in a very deep kind of manner, and it's something that can be very beneficial. So they'll know, like, okay, 45,000 people a week walk down this street.
Is that accurate?
I don't know what the number is. My guess is it's more than that, right? But knowing that, you can say, okay, of those 45,000, I'm creating, this type of food. Is that what, typically people are looking for?
Right.
And so I think knowing that kind of number it's a good way to control payroll costs of a kitchen. Same way as any other business, like really understanding where you are, having a number.
And then I think cross-utilizing. Oh, sorry, payroll. Obviously, menu costing.
Is that what you're saying? Payroll costs. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I think, really determining, and to kind of scale this into any kind of business, is determining really what the value of each person working is bringing. So, like, if somebody is coming in early for prep work and then they're leaving at a certain time, knowing that this person is going to be coming into payroll if they're not actually executing the job that we need them to. So, So there's so many times when I see people sitting around, when they could be doing things or when they could be going home. So I think the important thing is to not let people milk the clock.
Have a real budget, right? So also those things, right? I think those are, dealing with people, but to understand really like what you can afford. So go through your actual numbers and say, okay, we're going to make $10,000 this week. And let's just say it's $10,000 off the top. So minus food cost, off the normal overhead, and then you still have employment costs, right? So then say, okay, let's just say, to make it easy, we have $5,000 left. So you take that 5,000, say, I understand it's a small number, so it's probably more than that. You say, okay, we have 5,000 and we need to get to 10 people, then each one gets $500, right? And so you break that into whatever the number is.
Per hour, you mean?
Per hour.
Kind of stuff, yeah.
And so it's really, you will go down really quickly if you only need 2 people and hire 4.
Yeah.
Right? You will die really quickly if you overhire. And so be careful to make sure that you don't have too many people for a job that can be done for less.
Right.
And so
that's something I struggle with over down the street, because you hire somebody and we had to kind of transition a couple roles, but you have this person who's been loyal to you and you want to try and find a way to make them work. So I think it's a struggle that you kind of just take on one by one.
Something that someone told me once about kind of employment is everything will move on. Be a good person, do everything, but at the end of the day, that person will find another job.
Right.
And so,
and if you treat them the right way, then
you took the risk, they didn't.
Yeah.
Right. And so, do the best that you can. Be honest with them. Don't be like Bar Rescue, where you see like these guys who don't pay people. If things are going to get tough, tell them. But at the end of the day, like, you have to survive too, and you're taking the risk.
You're the last one to get paid too.
I mean, you've been on the record many times saying for years that you didn't pay yourself. And so I think you do have to, people have to really understand that you're taking the risk. Don't kill yourself and not give yourself something out of it.
That was the biggest thing I struggled with. I've
17 servers. Damn.
17 what?
So they get paid $2 something an hour. Remember that taxes need to be kept separate. It's not our money. Yeah. Chris. Yeah.
And that's kind of, Chris, what I was saying about like setting up a different account where you can.
When's the book coming out, Chris?
May 24th.
Nice.
Get back to the office and
I have 3 dishwasher, 4 cooks.
Well, maybe your answer is not. Maybe your answer is not your payroll. Maybe your answer is maybe you can find a way to increase sales, or maybe which could be increase your menu prices, or find other ways to generate sales. Maybe busier lunches or busier happy hours.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you think about that, but
No, I mean, sometimes you can't break the numbers down anymore, and from a expensive standpoint, but you can get people to add on. So I think one of the best companies right now, from a service online and in-person perspective, is Panera.
Yeah.
And so they have this thing called rapid delivery. And their online stuff is really good, but they're really good at upselling too, right? So think about it. If everyone that walks through your place, you can upsell them another appetizer, a dessert, a coffee, a drink, and I know you guys do this, but just think about it. If you can get,
or the front of the house people do.
Yeah. If we can get that sale up a little bit more, your four cooks, your 3 dishwashers, they're still doing basically the same amount of work, but you're making a little bit more per transaction.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it is just getting that ticket price up, instead of trying. Your numbers actually might be correct. It's just you got to get your revenue up a little bit. And so by being strategic, and getting people in that, also it could be, are you open too much or too little? So there's a restaurant down the street. Actually, you're the same way. Were you guys open still for breakfast?
Yeah, but I know now it's a constant battle for what time do we want to open up, what time do we want to close. Yeah.
So knowing that, right? So there are places that are open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? So IHOP realizes that 24/7 is their model, and that's good, and they're going to make a ton of money. There's a lot of businesses that probably only should be open for 2 hours of the day. And think about the demand that they can get in there. People know that's going to be there.
Yeah.
And so instead of trying to be open for that additional hours, I was at Duck Donuts, which is like a donut franchise locally that's really popped up. They're really popular. They're open, I think, from 7 to 3.
Yeah.
And I host a TV show on business, and we went and did them. And
Killer Donuts.
They're really good. So from 3 to 3:15, so they close at 3. For those 15 minutes, probably 20 people tried going in.
Right.
And so you got to sit there and go, wow, should we be open for this time? Or think about it, if it was like, the hour before that, 2 to 3, and no one comes in, maybe we should close at 1 or 2. And so I think it's really understanding, is it worth that additional $4 of profit? But then or that $4 ticket, when we then, for every $4, it's $100 in overhead, electricity, all other stuff.
And so you have to overwork your employees. I think it's one too.
Yeah, I think people sometimes are open too much, and that can be a struggle. So like you guys, your big thing probably is from 11 to 1:30. Right. So maybe you should only be open from 11 to 1:30. Yeah, people like you to be open more, but from a financial economic standpoint, doesn't make sense.
Right.
And so while you're sitting there, Michael Corkins saying, should I, these are my issues, I would then push back too and say, are you really busy that entire time? Are you closed on Mondays? A lot of people say Mondays and
so maybe you have 3 dishwashers during like the heat of like when it's really super busy, but then you kind of taper off 1 and then 2 and 3. Do you know?
Spencer, I don't understand.
Do you feel? Maybe is that the question?
Honestly, I think one of the hardest things right now, and I think for people to adapt to, is on demand, right? And so people being able to not just get their consumer goods on demand,
but also their food
on demand. And that's why you're seeing companies like Postmates, Order Up, Grubhub's, other world do so well, because people now can get food like that. And so maybe that's another way that you guys, who was his name, Michael before?
Yeah.
Are you on those products? Like, are they in your cities? Make sure you are, because that's a way for you to basically do no additional work to acquire someone, but you can make more money off of it.
Right. And that's kind of like what Panera is really good at too, I think.
Lease. Mark, lease all day. Buying can be really expensive.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a super, there are definitely times where buying is the right situation, but leasing typically.
David Bean, that's like the $1 million question right there.
That was true. I thought that was April Fool's joke.
Yeah, that's I'm working on a piece writing about that
$15 minimum wage. Jeez.
Which so Zach, I know you know business, but for restaurants, low margin anyway. You're looking at your best case scenario, your margin's like 10%. What's up, man? Your best case margin is like 10%, let's say. Your payrolls, you say 30%. $15 an hour in some cases is almost doubling. For a dishwasher, something like that, it's almost doubling. But automatically, your payroll is going to go up considerably. I'm not sure how it's going to work. I'm not sure how. I mean, obviously, menu prices are going to have to go up, and
that's also another way you can do it too, right? So adding 10 cents to everything. I mean, gas does it.
Make sure that you're. When I worked waiting tables in college, we would have, it was a nice kind of chill place, and somebody would order a Coke, and we wouldn't charge them, and that's your highest.
That's another thing too. Is really understanding is everything that's supposed to be happening going on correctly, right? Are people stealing from you?
And you also,
if you run a bar, how much overpour is there going on? As crazy as it sounds, like these are the things that you need to be taken care of, because again, you're taking the risk.
And our employees bring in their food, to get made by the kitchen. Sometimes there's a weird dynamic there where.
Yeah, Mira, 17 servers on when you only need 6. Cut them immediately is what I would do. And then hope that you don't get a big rush.
Half of them want to go home anyway.
Yeah. Hey, Matt Rivers, hey, what's up? Thank you guys so much. This has been fun. We're going to keep going. I don't think we're going to stop.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and get through some of these questions. I'm trying to find them on my computer. If you guys want to follow me along too, startwithhatch.com.
It's on your website.
Yeah. Oh, Hatch shared. This is why I can't find it, because I'm an idiot and I'm using the tool the wrong way.
So what are some good successes that you've seen through your company or just in general? Like, I know you had the chance to hang out with Damon John, who's incredibly successful, one of the Shark Tank guys. Started Fubu, and incredibly successful entrepreneur. What are some of the common threads that you see that?
Yeah. So I think success is defined by the person, not by anyone else. So if success to you is making $1, making $10, making $1 million, making $100 million, that's up to you, no one else, right?
I agree.
And so I look at success. Some of my favorite companies that we work with are making $120,000 a year, but they're super passionate, super happy.
They're netting
and they're, yeah.
Okay.
Or
that's just
no top line revenue.
Okay.
120K. And look, they're happy. And so I think that people think this, it's $10,000 a month, depending on the type of company that can be good, right? I mean, actually here, this t-shirt company is a company called 30 Seconds Out, Sean Evangelista. He's a former Navy SEAL. He's making $13,000 to $15,000 a month. He's netting 9 of it. Like, that's fucking awesome. And he lives in Idaho, and
living the life. Yeah.
He's living the life. And so, he sells his products, he pushes it out, and people use it, or people wear it. And I'm wearing it now. Positive vibrations. And so, but no, like, it's about, like, stop thinking of like this big, like, Hawaii destination moment. Like, you need to live every day to its fullest. And I think that people who don't live like that end up not enjoying it when they do have it. So if you can be happy being in $50,000 credit card debt or not paying yourself for a while, and then when you do start doing those things, those are big wins.
You really appreciate it.
But you're happy. And so I think the people who are happy in their day-to-days are more successful than the people who are trying to hit this kind of unrealistic goal that doesn't make sense. And so a lot of people, so when, like, our onboard process with companies, we say, what's your immediate goal, or what's kind of your next big goal? And people are like, I want to make $1 million this year. And I go, wow, you want to make $1 million this year? How much did you make last year? New business, never made any sales.
Right.
I said, this is a true story, or true fact. Only 4% of businesses in the world make more than $1 million. So in your day one, your first year, you're going to become one of the top 4%. It's just unlikely. It doesn't mean that you can't.
Right.
It's just unlikely. And so I think people who would have more realistic expectations,
Yeah.
can enjoy it more. So like when
Doesn't
you
mean
do have,
doesn't mean you don't make those big goals, but you kind of
you probably have to spend $50,000 to $100,000 to make $1 million minimum to get there. And so if you don't,
and kind of like what you're saying too about like is somebody that's happier, that's okay with the credit card debt. I mean, I think that a lot of that kind of goes back to something that's
I've been in credit card debt. I was not happy with being in credit card debt, but I understood.
You're okay with it.
I understood it was a risk that I had to take.
And that's kind of like you and me. I really didn't get paid for 3 years.
People, if you're not like bet on the person in the mirror. If you're not willing to bet on yourself, you'll never. It just won't happen.
And I think it shows you. I think it shows a certain type of, which I think is definitely something you need in working in a restaurant or a kitchen, is a certain sense of resiliency. Like things aren't going to always go as planned, and being able to kind of power through and fight through those things.
Brandon Kane, what's up, buddy? Says talk about how to make a realistic budget and keep it. All right, so this is great.
Maybe personal too.
So you need to go through like your life, and so I use the word inventory, right? So you guys are chefs and business owners and restaurateurs, and so you're constantly taking inventory. So then do that same thing is take an inventory of your life, both personal and business, and do it either from it's Monday morning, so you can do this now. So do it for the next 7 days and really understand what you're spending, and then say, okay, we're spending this kind of money, but we're only bringing in this much, or we're actually spending this much money and we have this much kind of profit. We think that if we take 10% of that profit and spend it this way. So here's a great example. So, and I don't know if Jeannie's listening, but one of our companies that we work with is a company called Cookie Text, and they make homemade personalized cookie cakes every day. And so they cost anywhere from $30 to $50 delivered, and they're only in certain markets, and they're really fucking good. If you've been to the store and you get like one of those cookie cakes in there,
right?
Those are disgusting. Yeah. You can tell these are great. And so she texted me, I think on Wednesday or Thursday, and she said, I feel like business is growing, and it is, but I feel like a lot of people still don't know about us. And what can I do to do that? And I said, okay, cool. How much profit did you make last month? And she told me the number, and I didn't realize it was going to be the number that she told me. So I was expecting a certain number.
It was higher.
It was way higher. And I said, okay, let's make a $300 bet, because she had that kind of money to do it. I said, let's make a $300 bet. I want you to go onto Facebook, and I want you to create an ad, and I want you to run it for the entire month of April. And it's an exposure ad that says, hey, we're open for business. This is what we can do for you, and then call to action at the end. You also
target Great American Cookie Company customers, or
I don't know who she did in this case. I think she was going to do the geographical area that she was. But when people say, I don't know that people know about me, we say, well, what are you doing to communicate with them?
Right.
And so I'm doing a workshop tomorrow, and it's about how, okay, so you get press, and then I'm getting business off that press. Well, press is just the top of the funnel.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're likely never going to get a direct business from that press. But people look at it like that and say, oh, and so no, I look at it as, okay, this is people learning about me. Now I get them hopefully to go to my website, do something, and then I can funnel them through these things to then hopefully get them to become a customer.
Right.
And so
like a paid TV ad, on the local morning show, it only does so much.
The only time I've ever bought something from a commercial online was a company called Club W. And they're a wine of the month club.
Okay, yeah.
And it was because they had a good enough incentivization package that I was like, all right, I'll do it. But I went to the website. They were offering me 50% of wine. They're basically offering me like, I don't know, $60 worth of wine for $10. And I was like,
all right,
got it. And then so it's just about really understanding what you want to do and what certain things are. And so I think oftentimes people, so she's running this ad, and I was looking at it yesterday. She's already got like 5 shares on it. So people
is it clever?
Are seeing it.
Or is it just kind of?
It's 5 or 6 videos or 5 or 6 images of Jeannie and her product doing it. And basically it's saying that we make homemade cookies delivered to this area, learn about it here. And so, but that's the thing about ads and why Facebook ads are great, because you can test it for pretty cheap. Right. Where if you were to buy a radio ad, or a newspaper ad, you might be paying thousands of dollars, and you don't know if your copy was right, if it went in the right spot.
You can split test. But also, like, if I'm a restaurant or if I'm making cookies, with writing on them, I can make an ad for a certain zip code, and then I can target to people in that zip code that like Great American Cookie Company or like Mrs. Fields or like desserts in general, and might be so that I can even refine that even more to if somebody goes every 3 months to buy cookie cakes for their kids at Great American Cookie Company, maybe now I can get into that person's back pocket and show them, hey, we have an awesome product. We'll deliver it to your house.
Tracking and finding out those people. Yeah, that's really good. Mark.
Restaurants can do a lot better job of that too.
I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Mark. But you say, how do you feel about the no-tip policy restaurants are leaning towards? I think that could be difficult for the business owner. But you might be delivering a far more superior product.
Yeah, I mean, I can just tell you.
You guys don't do tips, really?
Well, that's a little bit. It's more like a fast casual kind of thing. At the end of the day, I had a conversation with Danny Meyer's business partner, Richard Carrain, for this book that I've been writing, and we just ended up talking about the whole no tipping idea, and really for them, they couldn't keep good cooks in their kitchens. Their cooks were making $8 or $10, 10 or $12 an hour in New York, I guess, and the front of the house people were making $300 a night, and that back maybe 15 years, 20 years ago when he opened, or maybe 30 years ago when he opened, they were making $8 an hour. The cooks were, and the front of the house was making $100. So that gap is just really
and
grown.
Look, people are talking about it, right?
Yeah,
people talk. What I think one of the hardest things about that industry, the restaurant industry, is cash. So those people are then going to the bar afterwards and they're pulling out stacks of cash. Where the cook, who actually might be making more money in a year, they see that stack and they go, "Fuck, I want that." And so it's, I can understand why they.
So yes, I mean, for the end of the day, they said, "Hey, in 5 years, we're not going to have enough cooks to supply our restaurants. What can we do?" And then they really, I mean, Danny Meyer, started Shake Shack and all that. Like, great book he wrote called Save the Table.
They don't do tips there?
They don't. They actually started it there. And the whole idea is like they're all about like really empathy. And
well, then
like,
you're not expecting. Then the person
people.
Isn't expecting, right? You're really focusing on like, oh, what am I supposed to do? And then you don't have stereotypes or generalizations. Like I remember I asked the question a few months ago about tipping, and it was from a carryout order. And I just said, am I supposed to tip on a carryout order? I typically do. But is it now expected that I call in an order and that happens?
You leave 10% or
It depends. But sometimes, the ticket's like $80 and I'm like, shit. I mean, like this, like, and so it's unknown. And so I think that if it gives it a better playing field, sure. But like at the same time, like, do you tip your hotel? Do you tip the person?
I'll leave a couple bucks in the hotel room. Yeah. Especially at the beginning of the week, kind of shows that I appreciate you and I want you to
I think as long as the numbers can work, it can be a great thing. But don't let it nip you in the butt.
And menu prices will have to go up, and you'll have to have a front of the house staff that understands and really buys into the mission. Like the reason
you're going from $2.50 an hour to probably.
Well, you want to I think that for them it's
what is Shake Shack?
I think they're paying $9.50, and any sort of service charge type stuff that is built into the check, that's going to distribute to help cover the back of the house.
Thanks, Brian.
The cooks.
Why do I need to shave a tick?
I think last time I got a little bit of hell for not shaving.
Tip out cooks. That's a good one too.
You actually can't. In most states, it's illegal to tip pool with anybody that doesn't work for New York. It's 80% in front of the customer. So remember a couple years ago when Mario Batali got in trouble for payroll stuff, the whole idea that he was doing was trying to help out the cooks and give them a little bit of the pie, and he ended up getting in trouble for that. So you actually can't include cooks in a tip share type of environment, which is why they have I think they call it a service charge. They somehow get around the idea of it and are able to share it with some folks.
So here's a good one. My biggest problem is I live in a very cheap town, and it's $1.50 PBRs. So I think that's fine. I think happy hours do a certain thing, but they can make money off of happy hours. You just got to figure out ways to get them to do things. So if someone goes in and drinks 6 PBRs and it's going to cost you the equivalent of $3 to do that, you're still making money off of them. But also try and incentivize them to buy more food, right? Or do different things, or like if you're going to do a happy hour, if you're going to give people a discounted rate, do it to get people in there. Make sure you're doing it in the masses, and then they're also staying and buying other things. There's a local bar that we have right next door, and they used to do $2 Miller Lights, and so people would go there and drink $2 Miller Lights, and so it's great. But then also they knew that when we did that, we were also going to buy their $10 nachos, and so if you're going to do $1.50 PBRs, people got to eat too. Figure out a way to get some of those things in there, or create a jukebox and make people pay for that, or is it figure out ways for people to spend more money in there. When you increase that ticket price, you're more likely to make more money.
And like a happy hour, I don't know if that was happy hour talk or not, but happy hour is really the opportunity to get people in the door when they wouldn't be normally, and also to maybe create a little bit of an environment for when the dinner rush comes. It's not completely dead.
Well,
it gives a little bit of an
do you go to a party with no one there? No. You want to create, like when you're walking down the street, people want to find a place where there's people in it. So that's typically why they're doing it. Mira, my bosses won't listen to me. I know it's hurting our employees in business. They care more about fast service, in which I believe you can achieve when you leave the best service on. Mira, it sounds like you're unhappy. If you're unhappy, maybe you should leave. I'm a strong believer that people should be happy in life. And if you're not happy every single day, you might need to change something.
The situations that maybe like they're cutting people to save money, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like maybe you're like one of the people that's been around for a while and maybe one of the more experienced or better servers, and you aren't appreciated the way you feel like you should be.
This is my favorite question. Jerry with the Joker profile pic, can't say your last name. How can you get regular people to try irregular foods? Okay, this is what I would coin as like going to the shopping mall or Costco and then giving out a little piece of like General Tso's chicken or something. If you want someone to try something and you don't think that they're going to know what it is or like it, or they don't like the name of it, then give them a sample, right? How often have you been to a fancy restaurant and they're like, oh, this is compliments of the chef? The reason they're giving you that is because they want you to then buy it. So they can give you this little piece. And so, think about it. If blah, 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 sorry, 50, can you take a $50 risk to try and give someone a sample of it to say, oh, I really like that, I want it. And so if, let's say it costs you $50 to do it, to get it out. And if you can get 2 people to buy it, you'll have it paid for, then it's worth it, right? And so if you want someone to try something that's weird or irregular, I like that word irregular,
make it easy as possible.
Make it easy as possible. So let them try it out. And so how often have you been to the shopping mall, the food court, and they give you these things, or at Costco, and then you end up buying it, right? And so you're like, oh, I like this. Not everyone's going to like it, but if people try it, there's a way to do it.
And I think, like you're saying,
like Chipotle did this with tofu, right? Come by and try our tofu burrito. Was it tofu? I think it's tofu.
Yeah.
And so because people don't want to try that, but we'll give you a free one, and then guess what? They like it. They come back. Sorry.
Well, and I was going to say too, is like all the time, I would be working on something kind of cool and different. Something we would normally actually serve at the restaurant down here, and I would either myself personally take it out to a guest, or have one of the front of the house people take it out and say, hey, chef's been working on this. He'd love for you to try it. Let them know if you have any. And they might not buy it that time around because they're already eating, but they might say, hey, they like
that you gave them something for free,
right? And they go tell their friends, hey, this is really cool. We went to the restaurant down the street, and the chef came out and talked to us and gave us a bite of this cool thing that he's actually not even.
It's all about being creative. I think a lot of people complain about something, but they just said, oh, it's on the menu, it didn't work. Well, that's not enough, right? When someone greets you at your table, what are the specials of the day? Here's our drink of the day. The more likely you are to upsell that process, the more likely someone is to be like, oh, I wasn't thinking about that, but I might get it. And so it's all about being creative when you're trying to sell, because now it's not about marketing, it's about selling in that case.
And being confident, make sure your staff knows what they're doing and they're confident.
Columbia Brewing says we use Instagram that allows us to post to Facebook and Twitter all at once. I kind of disagree with that strategy, but you've had success. But what should we be looking at, or the next thing? The reason why I don't like that strategy is because typically people are looking for different things on different mediums. And so if someone is following on all three, they're going to see the same message over and over again. But if it's working,
I definitely, I definitely would do it. I think it's a huge opportunity. You kind of mentioned it a little bit before with your phone is with Snapchat. Is having people follow you on Snapchat, they can take a screenshot of
Zack Miller 84 is mine.
They can, and I'm not sure what mine is. Chris Hill or something. Most of y'all follow me. But yeah, you take a screenshot of your beer logo or whatever, or of your Snap, and then they can bring it in and get half off a beer.
Screenshot that, people.
Well played.
That was good, right? My Snapchat, it's funny to me because I like to do voices. Have you ever heard of like that, Dad?
I'm not sure I have. And I think I still haven't followed you yet.
Yeah, so I just like it's these quick little fun little hits. But okay, so back to Columbia County Brewing. What's your favorite beer to make too, by the way? I would love to learn about that. All right, so I think we should go old school when it comes to like new technology. And so one of the best ways that we do is whenever we get in front of someone, we have them fill out a name and email sheet, and then we get them, we correspond with them in multiple ways. And so I did a talk on Friday, not like this, like an in-person one, and I spoke to some college students who are all my target customers. So we typically are working with people that are looking to start or grow a business and are looking for like a community and resources that are curated. And so we develop that and then distribute it to people for a price. And so I give this talk, and there's probably 20 people there. And so I say, hey, fill out this sheet, and I'll send you guys some more information about some of the stuff that we're working on or put you on our list. And so the reason you do this is because that everyone that walks into your restaurant, and this is really simple, all it is name and email, and I get that.
And brewery, I think, is an awesome example because if you have if you have regular beer tastings, once a week,
new beer coming out, trial it,
all sorts of ways to correspond with people.
And so it's not all about social, it's about going old school too and being where people are. And so people are still using their email. And so I think it's doing a lot of things really good. But this could be, a phone number, right? You could be getting their text, and then you could text them, hey, we're launching this new beer, tomorrow. We want to make sure that you're there and everything. And so it's just about being creative in a world where people think that we have to, automate everything. I don't think it's about automating. I think it's about creating personal one-to-one relationships when people haven't over the last few years.
And also, I think a great opportunity with especially a brewery is finding local events to be a part of, especially this time of year with the festival events and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure you're probably doing that, but finding ways to leverage those mediums.
Michael is launching a new menu soon. You want to talk about the psychology of menus?
Yeah, the biggest problem I see is people not cross-utilizing items enough. So I'll bring in a certain protein or a certain vegetable, and I'm just going to put it on one certain item. And I think it's important to say, all right, we're going to bring in pork belly, and we're going to use it for this appetizer. But then maybe we can actually smoke it ourselves and make kind of a cool house cured bacon out of it to use for our sandwiches. How can I most effectively use different items throughout the course of the menu? Menu psychology, I'm not huge on that. I think if you have something that's attractive and appealing to people that you want to get out there, I think you can do that. But I think it's important to cross-utilize is a huge one.
Yeah. Fernando, what's the best way to let people know that you are open for brunch? Tell them you're open for brunch, right? I think a lot, like right now on your Facebook page, like I would write, hey friends, just want to make sure that you guys know that we are open for brunch.
And I think,
and then district, like push it. Feature some of the items that you're doing. Ask your favorpeople people that come in a lot. Say, hey, just want to let you guys know that we're open for brunch. Tell everyone.
Like Instagram's a great way too. Like with awesome photos of people love brunch.
push. Like this question frustrates me, not because of you, Fernando, but because people say, well, no one's buying my thing or no one knows this. And then I say, what have you done? And no one's done anything. And it's just like, you can't expect that just because you put an open sign on your door that's enough. Like, it's about telling the world early and often, all the time, what you are doing. Because if you want something, if you want people to start buying your stuff, they got to know that you're open, that you can buy their stuff.
You could also do the whole during lunch or dinner, somebody's in there for dinner, and they say, hey, the chef's actually in the back working on some brunch specials for tomorrow. He'd like for you to try, a little bite of the soft shell crab that he's working on. Those kinds of things that your average customer might not actually know about, but kind of tying in that whole
Okay, Mohammed Ari says, can you tell me what is the best way? We're going to try and get through all these questions too. Can you tell me the best way to promote the business, food business? There are a million different ways to promote a business. It's what works best for you. Think of a bowl of spaghetti, throw it against the wall, see which one sticks, and try and repeat that over and over and over again. And so I can't tell you that there's one way or another that's going to work for you. That's for you to have to test out. And so I think you can make a lot of really quick and easy strategies to do it. You can do all the social stuff. You can do the email list stuff. You could go to your Chamber of Commerce. You could start going to Rotary clubs and sponsor meetups in town. There's a ton of different ways that you can get your stuff in front of people. I just named 20 that cost no money. And so it's just about getting in front of people and telling them what it is. Also, think about the food market thing, because people love food and food is an experience. Stephen Anderson just opened a vape shop. Any suggestions to not be the typical douchebag setting a vape store all day? So I don't vape, so I don't necessarily know
what it's like in there.
But I'll tell you this, do people try it out? What are some experiences that what is an experience that you can provide to other people?
You maybe a cigar lounge, maybe.
Think of Starbucks. Do people love Starbucks coffee? Probably not, but they know the experience that they're going to get each and every time. And so if you don't want to be the standard thing, and I don't know what that is because I've never been to a vape shop, but think about what you don't want it to be and create an experience around that. And so if you want it to be high end, make it high end, right? And so Stephen, you live in Portsmouth, so that's across the water for me. But what are you doing now that isn't making you happy? And what don't you like about these other places? Also recognize that sometimes the situation that people go into is what people want.
Right. Yeah, what are they doing that's working? What are they doing that's not working? Or what are they not doing that could work?
Wayne says hidden costs. Absolutely, there's a ton of hidden costs. Thank you guys so much for being here. This is great.
Yeah, some great questions. Some great questions this time too. I mean, last time we had some, but
I don't use a position as leverage for employment. I don't know what that means, Nate. Can you explain that a little bit more?
There's Columbia Brewing left over.
Oh. Yeah, I totally understand Columbia.
Yeah.
Demographic
research.
Luke says, my restaurant is in its first month and is an established neighborhood. I just started a brunch program and need to get the word out. What is the best way to get people in the doors? What are the best ways to get the words out without spending a lot of money? All right, so you're in an established neighborhood. Who are the prime time players? Make friends with them.
An established neighborhood also, I feel like, means a lot of walking by traffic. Maybe not, but I feel like it's a great opportunity to have outside store frontage sign or something like that. Balloons on Sunday morning or Saturday morning.
But I would find those local champions that do frequent places and invite them in, maybe buy them a meal and say, I just want you to try this out. And hopefully that goes well, and they tell their friends.
Right.
And so I believe that just because something historically has gone one way doesn't mean that you can't change it. I am exactly that. This is a very old town that we live in here, and I'm very different. And I think that I made friends with the right people and have created those relationships to get further.
And I think also if you can do it for not having to pay, I've been able to reach a lot of people through TV. So like the local TV morning show, if you can find a way to do some sort of trade with them where they let you come on and maybe actually talk about the restaurant as well, but also, hey, they just, after the first month, they're launching brunch. I think that's a great opportunity to get and then you also take that, 8 or 10 minutes.
Maybe sponsor something in the community too.
Exactly.
So that you're a community player.
Event they're a part of.
Softball league.
So then you have like a 10-minute segment where then you can also cross-utilize that to put on your Facebook.
Maybe ask if those primetime players can host an event at your place.
Yeah.
Maybe you pay for the appetizers or something like that. Spencer says cross-utilize workforce. A cook will wash dishes if it means keeping his job. Absolutely. You know, make your wait staff clean.
For labor. I mean,
if you it's what you gotta do. Like, people want a job, they gotta work for it. I mean, I'm a firm believer in that. I'm gonna keep looking through these questions.
Well, thanks for your time today, Zach, man. It's been awesome.
No, this is fun. Is there any other question that you guys have? Things that would be great if you guys are interested, and I'll put this in.
Let's throw a link in there.
This is our website. There's a lot of really good.
Let them know if you do, kind of how you came about it. Awesome. Okay.
So I'm gonna give you guys a bunch of links.
And they have a bunch of just good content out there too. They're very helpful, whether you do business with them or not.
Yeah, it's great. Here's what I think is really different between us and a lot of other places. We wear jeans and t-shirt. It's what we want to wear. It's not what we're forced to.
He brings his dog to wear.
My dog is actually staring at me right now. He's mad because he wants a treat. There he is. That's Ashbrook. He also has a Facebook page, which is somewhat popular. But Chris,
yeah, you want me to hold it?
Yeah, you get it.
I'll hold it. But yeah, man, really appreciate your time. Are you seeing more questions?
Yeah, let me
before we kind of wrap up here.
I've just put some links in there.
Okay, here's one. We were planning a big marketing push with billboard and radio spots. I know as an experienced chef in my kitchen can't handle high volume like that. 2 fryer, flat top, 6 burner range. But I'm doing.
Where I can get the equipment I need to produce.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like, I don't know if he's already bought the billboards and everything. Radio, it can work, and billboard can, but yeah.
I think if you're going to do a billboard, it has to be right next to the restaurant.
Yeah.
So they work for McDonald's and rest stops and things like that because it's an immediate thing where you're about to get off and it's an immediate purchase. A lot of times, billboards that are in the wrong spot that are selling something, and think about it, you're driving by, you're going 65 miles an hour, and you're trying to remember how to do this thing later on.
Yeah.
And you're like, what was that thing? And you don't remember it because it wasn't an immediate thing. And so I think oftentimes people will, it makes sense because they're going to be 10,000 impressions. Well, I mean, just because 10,000 cars go by a day doesn't mean that any of them are in an immediate mood.
And like Gary Vee always says, like, when's the last, if you look around when you're driving, people aren't looking at billboards, they're looking at their phones. If they're driving or not.
Hopefully not. Let's keep talking. Let's just.
So I mean,
live on air.
If he has enough money to fund billboards or any sort of advertising, radio marketing campaign, I would try and. I think he needs to understand that it's probably better to make sure that we have all the resources we need to be successful in case we get those people versus actually spending on that. So
I think that a lot of people just spend money incorrectly as well. And so, what are some ways, like I don't know how much a billboard costs, but I'm sure it's a lot of money, right? If it's at the right spot, then maybe it's the right thing to do. But think about other ways that you can spend that money so that it ends up being a good fit for you in that thing. Also, Mike,
but then if you don't have the resources to make it successful when if it does work and you bring in a bunch of new customers and the kitchen can't handle the new volume.
Well, Rick says it great. Tailor the menu to the kitchen, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so it's, and I also think it's difficult, as an employee to tell a business owner, hey, this is what I want you to do. You know,
Yeah.
maybe money, they can't afford that thing, and so you're trying to change a situation that might not be changeable. So
Yeah.
what is a fusion carrier?
I'm not really sure. I don't think.
La Maison Marley says, so my boss, now we're getting your hair. That's great, Chris. You're having a great hair day. So my boss has this crazy idea that a fusion carrier and rest should have the plates come out in 7 minutes. This plates are really elaborate. So how can I change his mind to get the good food quality? I think you should have the customers start getting your customers to tell you that the quality has gone down, and then likely if you can relate that back, that'll do it. Hey Brandon, Birmingham, what's up? And our downtown and other areas are going through
Yeah, Brandon, I interviewed Frank Stitt, and this week sometime the guys over at Ali and Irene, awesome scene down there. I think y'all are doing a great
Fusion
job.
Caribbean restaurant. Gotcha.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I think if it's affecting quality, then have your customers start talking about how the quality has changed, and if that's the thing that you can directly relate it to, then go back and change that. We're gonna wrap this up in just a second. So revitalizing a downtown area. So Norfolk has probably done that, I would say, in the last few years. It's all about negotiating terms, I think, and so if you can get someone who wants your stuff in there, negotiate terms so that you can get something in there.
I don't think you have to do it alone, though. I think you need to have a group of people that really believe in what you're trying to do also. All right, I guess that's it.
Yeah. So, all right, real quick. Follow me on Snapchat. I'm going to give you guys the thing again. It's been fun. You can just screenshot that.
Yeah, screenshot that. Thank you, guys. I will
also follow me on Facebook, startwithhats.com. I want you guys to be members as well, 1004.com.
Yeah, shoot me an email or check out the website. And, we'll chat soon. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
We will chat soon.
All right, rock on.
Peace. Is your phone dying?
Dude, that ain't my whole fucking battery.
It was good before?
It was like 80%.
Damn.
I gotta get out of here in a second.
Here, just charge it up real quick.
Yeah, well.
What do you need?
I just gotta go to meet my girlfriend for lunch.
Let's see if anyone actually went to that link. When are you going back? Are you here forever?
I'm heading back later today.
Ugh. Why do you do this?
I don't know.
What are you doing down there?
Writing this book.
Are you making any money?
A little bit. Some stuff in that Chef Branding Academy that I launched.
All right. Let's do a quick snap. What do you want to say? I love Snapchat. So funny. Just wrapped up an awesome chat with the chef.
Positive vibrations, baby.
Every day. Good to have you back, brother.
Yeah, man. Follow me. I think I'm Bachelor Kitchen on there.
We'll do this. Okay. And then we'll do it again. All right. I want you guys to follow this guy right here.
What's up? I think I'm Bachelor Kitchen on Snapchat. Holla.
Do it now. Positive vibrations.
That was good stuff, dude.
Appreciate the love.
We had a bunch of good questions.
Yeah. I'm going to turn all these people into customers.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Actually, you know what's funny is some of them signed up for this talk, but they never answered the call when I called them.
All right, dude. I'll be in touch soon. I'll keep you posted.
All right, dude. Be good.
And if you want, you can. I don't know if there's any certain parts of that conversation, but you can.
Oh shit!
You have them too, I guess. Are you still have it going?
Still alive.